Hey, it's Shay Seeking, and I'm here with part two of this speech by Dr. Amos Wilson, and we're just kind of reflecting on it. Some of you already may have seen it, but we're just gonna look at it because he did a lot of work, back in the day when I was still young. I had never heard of him. I just found him um, about a day ago. And started listening to some of his speeches, and it's right. I like to connect with people where it's not like I'm following somebody 100%, but I like to uh, give more time and more, um, what do you want to call it, energy, to people that already are coming from a place where I'm coming from. So these are my thoughts and feelings, regardless if I had ever found his information or his page. This is just what I've always talked about. But it's just a great thing to find out, like, wow, somebody was talking about this stuff back in the 80s and maybe even the 70s. I never heard of this person. And now all of a sudden, and I think that that's the way that things work. Things are put in your, when you're on the right path, and even if you're on the wrong path, everything happens for a reason, and things can be placed in your path to give you a little bit more enlightenment. And it makes me a little bit, he's saying it this way, but the way I'm going to relay it to people when I speak to them is going to be totally maybe different. It's going to maybe come off harsh, and it's just going to probably come off a different way because I'm just sick and tired. And I just think that a lot of us, I wonder how we still in some of the situations that we're in. It has to be fear. Like, there's been so much placed on the backs of our people, and so much emphasis placed on just negativity towards our people. There has to be, no matter how woke we are or how strong or warrior like we think we are, I still think that there's an aspect of a mental kind of abuse that has been installed in us for a long time, just like so-called white people that really don't have no power. Everyday white people is what I call them. So just like everyday white people, they really don't have any power. You know what I'm saying? We're just given a perception of the fact that they were slave owners. But when we really look at how many slave owners there really weren't that much. These people's families is not the ones that really own slaves. It's the elite and the people that are still in power, the people behind. I'm not gonna name any names because then that'll sound like I'm pinpointing people. But all the big companies that you know today that are in cotton, in the cotton industry, and in the oil, and in all other aspects of what we would call like the elitists or the wealthy, wealthier companies that have been in business for a very long time. Those are the people that are descent from the people that came here and had slaves, and other random people had slaves too. But I'm just saying the major people are the people that you still spend your money with only on a daily basis. It's not the so-called everyday white people that live around you. They have no power. They don't fear. I don't fear them. They can't do anything to me. I know that they're slaves too. They just have a separate perception that they're better than. And that might be their downfall. But at the end of the day, we have all been deceived, and it's only fair to say so. Now, do they have to stay in that mindset? No, but do we have to stay in the mindset of just wanting to blame everybody else and be in fear of doing better and not try to change things for our people because we've been oppressed so much mentally and physically, where we live, where we've been manipulated like beyond, one would think is beyond repair, but the whole time you hold the power. So I know that's like a little tangent, but I'm just saying that I'm to the point where I want to just get real and get harsh and just tell people what we need to do. And it's come out of this whole system. It's come out of it. I mean, if you believe in the Bible or not, that scripture is one that rings a bell every time I see or think about buying some kind of name brand clothing, Every time I think about going to one of their restaurants, every time I send my children to a school, every time I see a church, I see the infrastructure. I see the whole thing, the whole big picture. So it's just, is that realistic for people today? Are we brave enough and strong enough? And even if you want to continue to occupy those things, and you want to continue to associate yourself with those type of indoctrination stations, is what I call them, then so be it. But in your inner, we need to figure out how to get together and how to be consumers, how to build, and how to resist. You know what I'm saying? So you're not hurting anybody by just being mad at white people and just saying white people this, white people that, because the real white people every day, they don't do none of that stuff. They don't have the power to do that stuff. They may be insensitive. They have their way of thinking because that's the way that the founding fathers wanted it to be for them. Same as we don't think much of ourselves. And don't tell me that you do. Because and that's the thing. Okay, so if you do think that much of yourself, then how is it as a collective for your people? Because if we were feeling some kind of way all the way around, and if we were being so-called blessed by some God, then we would be able to see that. Everybody else gets to see that, right? In India and all these other places, they worship because they're getting something, or they feel as if they're getting something. We the only ones that just put in and don't get back out. So at the end of the day, let's think about that. And I just want to be straightforward and just say, hey, this is just the stuff that's not right. If we want to change, it's going to take something epic. We're not going to be able to do it with moving our mouths. We're not going to be able to, in going talking to somebody up in the Capitol. We're not going to do it by marching. We're not going to do it by, it's about resistance. It's about resistance and building. And you have to start with yourself. Before you calling yourself knowing anything about what the Bible is actually really saying and what we're really supposed to be doing when it comes to a form of paying tribute or so-called worshiping, then you're not. I would just say, if we're doing something for so long and it hasn't changed the outlook for your people, then it must be something wrong or something that you're missing or lacking in your prayers, worship, or in the institutions that you are in or follow. So
it's amazing then that when we look at these disciplines where we don't see ourselves, so many of us call this kind of education in these disciplines a good education. It's amazing kind of things. You've had a people who have hung you, lynched you, degraded you, enslaved you, killed Indians, colonized people all over the world, killed millions and millions and millions of people, exploited people, destroyed people, polluted the earth, have they done such a job on the earth until you begin to wonder if they come from the same planet. You begin to wonder if these people are not a type of infection
or parasite,
a virus whose purpose it is to destroy the health of the world itself. And as we see them now beginning to destroy the earth and now getting ready to move.
And see, the thing is that how I feel, those particular people have already been killing the earth, because you are of the earth. If you look at the definition of some of these things like indigenous or aboriginal, you'll start seeing how those types of things tie you to the earth. Or being from or sprung from the soil. So when we're talking about that, that is more about your nationality than it actually is some type of race or something. It means that you were here. A native is somebody that was brought to a place and they are connected to a place because they were just born there. So anybody can be a native of America, but there's only some people that are from the soil. So when you go back and look at history, you have to go there. They're not going to tell you that because all the terminologies and the legalese and all the other ways that they use their English language to put spells on us on a daily basis, all the way from little grade school all the way up. These are the things. So there's only one way out. You have to resist. You have to halt, stop, don't participate anymore. I mean, I'm not telling you what to do, but I'm just saying if we want change, you have to then take away the power that you're giving to this entity or this beast system by holding it up. They really can't keep going if they're not utilizing their media and their social media and their television to tell you what you should think, what you should do, what you should buy. And don't tell me like even celebrities are the ones that do the commercials and stuff. But somebody told them what to wear, what to say, what they can do, what they can't do, how to look, how to cut their hair, what they want them to do. You see what I'm saying? From the day that they signed up with the contract or whatever. They own you, your person, and your image. So I just don't know where we're missing this. And then it goes even further up from there. Okay? The president is nothing. Just like I look at everyday white people. A president is an everyday president because he's not the one that makes the decisions all the way. No. Come on. There's something else going on. There's something deeper. It's embedded in the fabrics of our society, in our nation. It's bigger and stronger and uglier than you can even know. And a lot of times they do use their movies and their stuff and subliminally tell you these things that they're doing. But since you think it's just for entertainment purposes, because they want to make you feel good at the end of the week, and they put these box office movies for you to run out there and spend $100 for your family to go watch these movies. And don't get me wrong, I used to be a movie lover. I used to go on the $5 day myself sometimes and sit and just watch a movie. I used to be all into TV entertainment, but it just took up too much. When I started going into truth and I started feeling something deeper than that, like a real shift, then it became not important to me anymore. The only thing important to me is connecting with other people that are on the same platform, because I've been in hiding too long. And not to say that I have the best information, but I just want to, you know what I'm saying, keep vibing with people that's going up or elevating at all times. So, like, I could be in my feelings for a second about a celebrity or something like that because it's something that meant something to me a long time ago. But then I go back to washing that clean in a non-biased approach, and I'm going to talk about it. I'm just going to talk about it. So, and I might talk negatively about it because I have to decipher really what does this mean for my people. So no, I don't like any of the industry people. I will listen to something that they're saying. If they're speaking some truth, please know that it's probably because they've been given permission to say some of these little wise things so that you follow these people. You know what I'm saying? And you're not paying attention, because I really think that so many things are a distraction for us, and it works really well. It goes from R. Kelly to the Jussie Smollett to the, it's just all a distraction. Then I really want to get down to the point of why are we being distracted? What else that's burning are we being led into at this moment that we can't see? Because nobody's digging deeper, because we're worried about these people that have been put on a platform in order to deceive you. Just like it's just so funny how it's like some of this stuff works. Like in the Bible, when we're talking about earth, a lot of times we're talking about the people. And then when they say that he this particular God made these stars and he put them so that they can be a sign and a wonder and all this other stuff. I believe sometimes, yeah, we're maybe talking about the luminaries, but other times we are actually talking about those particular people that they've put in front of you. It's just funny how that can correlate. I'll just say that. How that can correlate with how real stars or movie stars, and maybe they took that from the Bible and then they use that in a tricky, twist up, funky way, in a divisive plan to use these people. And why else would they call them stars? They could have called them anything else in the world. But if you go back and you look at the first in Genesis, when we're talking about the stars, you can really, if you look at it on a different level, you can see where they probably took that and just twisted it around and gave you these people because you definitely worship them, you definitely idolize them, you definitely do everything that they want you to do, everything they say, you definitely fall in love with these people. You know what I'm saying? You go to sleep, listen to the music. You wake up, listen to the music. You see them what they bought and what they wear, so you can go to the store and get it. You know how they eat, whatever. So it's just a shame that we've let these people do this, and we'll never get to the truth because it's so covered with so many lies. But at the end of the day, I'ma die digging. That's just
their
me.
destructive natures into the cosmos itself. They've already made it to the moon
Which I
and are
doubt.
now preparing to infect.
And I am one of the people that doubt that they've ever really been there. I believe that NASA is a joke and that we should really do our own research in that matter. And don't get it mad at me for my opinion. It's my opinion and I can die with it and nobody can ever change it. And unless you give me some more valid information. But from what I've seen, I'm not a believer. So.
The whole of the universe. How can you then, as a people, assume that the people who've done all of these kinds of things to us as a people can give us a vision of reality? How can we accept their description of reality as the one with which we are going to guide our own behavior? How can we believe a people whose very lives depends upon our continuing domination? And yet there are those among us who seem to want to believe this, who seem to want to push their children under the instructorship of these people, who seem to want their people to resemble these people in some fashion, who have the nerve to...
And we do all of the above. The doctor tells you to give your kids shots, children shots. You never go and look at the things that are in the shots. You never really question, why are we doing this? Why are we letting a 1-day-old child that's not even barely out in the world yet getting these things injected? Why did they take your child back in that back room and start poking it and they come back with band-aids and all kind of blood drawn and stuff by the time they get back to you? Why do they want you to go to school? Why are they so upset? Why are they threatening you when your child doesn't come to school like they belong to them? Well, actually, they pretty much possibly do. But why do we put them in front of the TV and just absorb everything that Nick Jr. and the Disney Channel has to offer from an early age? And I'm not saying that I'm not one of those people. My children are a little bit older. So I was really one of the people that did that. And I'm gonna just go ahead and admit that because we can all do something different now. Don't think because you weren't on the right track before that you can't get back on it by just cutting some of these things out or limiting these things. But now I have my youngest daughter still. She likes YouTube, and I have to be on her about what she's watching on YouTube now. So she never was like a Disney kid and stuff like that. But you know, whatever. So I still struggle too. I'm not saying all these things are taken out of my life and I'm perfect and I'm doing these things. No, but we can all work towards these things. I think a lot of us give up because we know that we've done something wrong. Or that whole Christ crucified thing, oh, he forgave you for it, so you can just do whatever you want, just ask for forgiveness at the end of your life. No, we can really just start working for a better life for our children and for the future right now, without that mindset. And I think that Christ crucified as a stumbling block is kind of correct. Because now you're waiting for somebody else to come save you, or you can you can put all your burden on somebody, give it to the Lord and all this other stuff. No. Take it back. Because it's the only way you're going to be able to see what we're doing wrong as a nation of people and how we're going to change this for our children for the future. Because it's going to hurt. You're not going to be able to, if we want to change this, we can't keep on going about it the way that we're doing it. We have to change something. You're going to feel it. The society is going to feel it. Everybody has to feel the pain that we're about to afflict on whoever is going to try to stop us from giving our children a better future and a better way of living. I can't even imagine leaving this earth and leaving my children, my grandchildren here without running my mouth and talking to them about certain things. And if you can't get it correct paperwork, you can't get it ready, get everything correct in different other ways. Get it correct with yourself. Go deep within, and you will never be deceived. And that's why I believe that the Christos is in you, and I believe that at this time we're supposed to be saving ourselves. You notice how there's not really a mainstream leader for black people at this point in time. They already know that. They know that there's no other leader like that coming. They know that it's within us, so they're keeping us separated with all these different pan-Africanism and all this other stuff. Truth is, we was here. The Bible ain't as old as it was. It is telling your story, especially in the Old Testament. The New Testament was written by the conquerors. You, there is a sense of the Great Spirit upon a lot of people in this time. We are prophesying. We are telling the truth. We are bringing things out. The truth is being revealed, and this is how we're getting all this information. But what we're going to do with it is going to be the detrimental thing. Are we going to be able to know that knowledge is power and unity is key? Because unity is something that we have not been able to grasp as a people. And it's because of so many crafty ways that these people have made this acceptable, and that they have been able to systematically tear down our own whatever we want to say of self. Okay? So the thing is, they didn't really have to mess with the Bible that much. Really, they got into our heads. Really, they erased history. Really, from 3 generations down, you can tell people we really don't know what happened in 1812. By then, you know what I'm saying? They could be giving us any old story. All we have is his story. Okay? All we have is his story. And we can go and look at the stuff that's not mainstream to get information from there. But all we have is stuff that we have to look at, and we just have to try to learn how to correlate it and how to use all the gifts that we've been given naturally. The animals, the instincts and stuff that animals have, we need to get back to that and get all this other garbage out of our heads so that we can leave room for that thinking. Put your fucking thinking caps on, in this time. So
these people as representing some kind of civilization. These people may represent a culture, but not a civilization. Particularly if we're going to look at the word civil in the sense that it is normally used. We saw this thing here. In fact, last week
and this brings me to the point, I'm sorry, but this is what I do. This brings me to the point where a lot of people are fighting this whole thing about hip hop, and that they need hip hop and they'll never stop listening to hip hop. It's a part of them. This is we have to understand that all these things that we are calling a part of us aren't really, and they were given to you to distract you or give you a certain mindset at a certain point. Not saying that you can't still be woke and functioning on a higher level if you listen to that particular music, but none of that stuff matters anything to me. I used to love music. I used to fall asleep with music, wake up with music, go in my car and turn music on, come back home, turn music on, clean up, turn music on. I I was one of those people too. But I do understand now that music that type of music has been damaging to our people, and you can probably pluck a couple of people that never even made it. I'm saying, like local artists or whatever that you might have some kind of affection for or whatever. But on a large scale, hip hop was trash. It is trash. And I just can't believe that I was fooled by the industry and to listen to the trash. And it does affect people, and it does change the motion of a people. And I'm glad, from what I feel, maybe just because I don't listen to it anymore, I feel like it's kind of dying out at this point in time. But you'll have those people that fight for keeping it whatever and say, oh, music always been a part and all this other stuff. Yes, music has been a part, but that particular low vibrating music has not. And we have to understand that whatever you want to call it, witchcraft or whatever they use, all their stuff to create these music in the background tones and everything is not the proper, that it was not, that is all meant to attack or deal with your subconscious or your psyche. And if you don't look into that, then you'll never know that. And then if you do look into it, you're still free to have your own opinion, but in my opinion, these are the things that have helped them keep us down, have helped keep their foot on our neck for so long, including the other things that they've done to us. All their calculated measures that they've taken to put things into the neighborhoods like guns and drugs and projects and all these other things. Hip hop is one of them. Although it made me feel good, I know what it is now. So I don't listen to it. I don't let my youngest daughter listen to it. If my other daughters don't listen to it, one of them probably still listens to it, you know. And I just tell every time I hear it. So, and I really don't give a damn because you're holding on to something. You're in your feelings about it because you're holding on to something that has not been beneficial to the people. And I'm done doing that. I won't do it anymore.
Mark, somebody had a conference here somewhere and they voted against or they condemned, what do we call it? Terrorism. In fact, I saw Reagan, someone proposed that the meeting between Reagan and Gorbachev would involve a discussion of terrorism. And I found that so amusing. In fact, I find the newspapers and the TV, particularly the news, very, very amusing. And they're real jokes to watch. And in a way, you're looking at these guys and they're going to talk about terrorism. And yet, here are the world's two greatest terrorists sitting in conference. Two people in the world who have the world wondering, when is the end going to come? When is one of them going to go off and drop a bomb that is going to destroy the life?
And see, this is the thing. This is another thing. Fear tactics. Remember during 9/11 when they had all those fear elevated up to 100% or in the red today, then it went back. They had a measure of fear that you were supposed to be looking at every day to see what was going to be happening and anthrax. You know, like I said, a lot of these false narratives and these false stories that they give to us in your mainstream news and you know, that's what I'm saying about all this whole stuff. Like, I feel like they're sucking the energy. They feast on our energy. Seriously. They have to. Because I'm even thinking about this whole thing with this one boy that just, you know, got killed the other day. You know, I am somebody that can go into a theory. I'm not one of those theories and look at things. But this one I just can't understand. Just like the Smollett thing. I can't understand. I've been following for a long time, but they're starting to twist things up a little bit by saying that this happened to him, then saying it didn't, and then maybe putting him in jail, and then they're just, draining it out and dragging it out for so many different ways to keep you looking over there or whatever. But usually they don't publicize the false acts, but I guess since it came to the point where it's a so-called black person, they just want to show that black people are liars and that this was, and when they're talking about these particular things that are happening to them or the way they feel, they're just lying. And it kind of just disregard everything now because we found this one dude that's not even us because he's one of them, that so-called lied about this thing. So it's going to change people the way that they look at us when we're saying these things because that's just the way it works. So and then this whole thing with this young guy that just got, or this guy that just got shot or whatever. But the whole thing with the whole theory, okay, I'm thinking the deepest thing is that he wanted to do the documentary on the actual trial. Now, that's a little bit different. If he wanted to do it on his life, I would be like, hey, you know, the information is out there. He been talking about this. It really, you know, what the, but they probably just said, oh, this little nigga want to be smart and he want to do it on the trial, because I think the trial would have been a lot of good information. It would have been very revealing. And I think even though it's public information, even though they've been talking about this, him bringing it to the public and bringing up the name and ringing bells and getting a lot of people in tune so that they want to watch this and showing the actual trial it's public information, but they didn't put it on the public TV in my area, I guess. So I guess it would have to be something that you would have to go find and dig up, which most people ain't gonna do. So in that case, I don't know. That's where I'm at right now. How deep that could have went, but the fact that Left Eye supposedly got so-called sacrificed or killed or assassinated or whatever, because of the Dr. Sebi thing. And then Dr. Sebi comes out and makes all this rounds and starts talking about his thing. And then so-called he dies of something that he probably could have cured. And they just laugh in our face after he went to jail or whatever for a couple days or something is coincidence. And then now you have this guy. So 3 people, connected to one conspiracy. Yeah, but no, because even if he told you step by step, most people ain't gonna. Some people ain't gonna watch it. Some people. So I just really doubt that it's just about that. If that's even a thing, it could be just a whole made up thing that is here to distract us. And they chose that because we're not really vibing with real celebrities right now. They chose to use somebody that's down to earth, that's actually doing something to sacrifice. Because I heard he's connected to a couple celebrities, and that his dad is from Africa and that he's a cousin of Snoop Dogg, which I could kind of see when I was looking at him, his mannerisms and stuff like that. But I kind of picked up on that, and I picked up on the fact that he's not an American Aborigine all the way. Like, not, some of us might not be, but I'm just saying, that usually rings a bell when somebody's other parent is from Africa or something. It just makes me think about the bloodlines and, all these other little crazy things. So let's just keep going.
Of man and perhaps life on earth, period. The very fact that they are seen as powerful people, the very fact that the world sat in intense attention when they met, is symbolic of the fact that they are holding the world in a state of terror.
Yes, and that's what they're doing to us. That's what, like in
reality.
Like my husband said, why would they have to do this? Why would they have to do that? Why would they have to even, stage any attacks? Because people are getting shot every day, but they can't make it into a movie later on. They can't tell you they can only be very precise about something that was put together or constructed by them for you, using crisis actors and stuff that they can control the narrative of. They can't really control the narrative of a real person. So of course, yes, real people are getting shot, but I'm just saying the mainstream, some of these cases that they drag out on the news and just push them in your head and over again, some of these things may have been psyops. That's just my opinion. Why they have to do it, I don't know. I don't know if they need a certain level of our energy at some point in time. And we ain't got no business dealing with none of this shit anyway. We should be coming all the way up out of it anyway. So the level of energy that we're given and by saying this dude's name and going back and forth and arguing about this garbage, I just think that for us, they need a different type of energy. And so that's when they dish these particular things out for us. Whether it's been lynchings or just black hit, we just, this really is sad. It really is sad. It really is sad.
If your mind
Let's get back to where we were. I'm sorry.
Can give us a vision of reality. How can we accept their description of reality as the one with which we are going to guide our own behavior? Recognize that there must be an alternative to this kind of being. That the idea of our people is not to share equality.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And yet these are the people many of us want to claim that we want our children to be just like. These are the people we want.
Okay, I think it was somewhere over here.
And yet, here are the world's 2 greatest terrorists sitting in conference. 2 people in the world who have the world wondering, when is the end going to come? When is one of them going to go off and drop a bomb that is going to destroy the life of man and perhaps life on earth, period. The very fact that they are seen as powerful people, the very fact that the world sat in intense attention when they met, is symbolic of the fact that they are holding the world in a state of terror. And that we are frightened that they may, for some reason or other, let loose the great power that they have under their hands. And yet they have nerve enough to talk about terrorism as if it belongs to another people. And yet these are the people many of us want to claim that we want our children to be just like. These are the people we want our children to share a piece of the pie with. And yet these are the peoples whose very weapons are weapons of death. These are the people who represent death in the world. One of the things I recognized when I went through the graduate schools, and that struck me again and again and again, and that was this idea that these people are dead. They're not alive.
Okay, now we're just gonna stop there for this part 2 or whatever. But yeah, and that's the thing. It's funny how black or the race or nationality of calling ourselves black, which I believe is a misnomer, but still calling yourself that, is basically calling yourself dead by law. It feels like from the information that I've taken in, we're the only people that don't have a real nationality. And when you look at that social security form where you're supposed to check your race, that it seems that you are the only ones that are not a peoples. So it just strikes me as real funny. And and I just remember, I just think a lot of stuff like the telling her being told when you're younger you could be anything you want to be, even the president, telling them lies. I don't lie to my kids like that today. No, I don't lie to them like that today. And I don't even think one of them want to be no president or nobody else. One of my daughters wanted to be a model or something, and I'm telling her like, when you get up in that industry, that's a whole nother level. And matter of fact, you probably won't even be able to get to the point where you think you're gonna get, because there's things that you have to do, whatever. And but just that old lies talking about, and even wanting to be the president. Now, since I see the whole way the stuff that's been operating and is still operating, I don't even want my children to be no president of no United States. I don't want them to have nothing to do with it. I don't want them to go to Washington, D.C. and work as an intern. I don't want them having nothing to do with none of it. I really don't. I think that it's funny how it's like these people are dead, but they make you take the role of being dead. And if you're a corpse, then it would explain why we haven't made any moves as a people as a whole up until this point in time. And I know a lot of people are for college and education, but I'm at the point where nah, unless you're going for like I said, to be a doctor or a nurse, somebody that's going to help somebody or something. All the other stuff, why do you even have to go? Why do I have to go to be for early childhood development if I want to own a daycare? And you really don't. I don't think you have to. Not in this state, you don't have to. You can just go ahead and do that if you just want to care for children, because if you want to be a teacher, I just don't agree with the education system at all. In my opinion, you don't have to feel the same way. And college has been shown to give people a lot of unforgiven debt and put us into a bigger state of fear, or of having to feel like you got to work the rat race even harder when it's really a race to nowhere. And I think that this whole school is just, I'm starting to think that it's really child abuse, especially for black children. I mean, I feel that in my gut. And the only way that we're going to stop this is to do something drastic. A lot of people ain't ready for drastic. A lot of people ain't ready for hey, I'm debating next year. So, because I think that's my big year to go ahead and pull the plug. After next year, my older ones will be done, all of them. I only have one left. What the heck? I've been wanting to do it. What's stopping me? So, and I know one thing: if they go talking about some mandatory vaccines, it's gonna happen anyway. So, I just don't like the way that it's going. I just don't like the way that it's going at all. And I'm paying attention, and I hope everybody else is. And if you're in a position where you have to have your children in school, like I said, it's very important to reinforce that. Maybe we need to get together and get some kind of a newspaper or some kind of a printing or something that's just even on, you know, a website or something that we post every week, or just so it's something tangible or something you can hold in your hand. Some people might not like the internet. You can start getting these notices sent out to people. But if you don't get the word out, and if nobody's saying nothing, nothing's gonna happen. If nobody's starting to tell the truth about this, nothing's gonna happen. You go to school, spend all that time in school. My daughter come to me asking me questions about her homework. I can't even really remember none of the shit that I learned. So what is it for? The scientists already said that they could have told the kids and taught the kids everything they needed to know within a couple of years. Why do you have to go to school? You know why? Because they don't want you focusing or looking into anything else. You know why nowadays, when they give you a report to do, they give you the book to go along with it? Because they don't want you to go off finding your own information about what somebody really did. Because that's where I'm going to send my children, into the antiquities. And they don't want you to go there, so they give you the actual book, and you need to answer the questions according to that particular new print. Probably like the 25th printing of the book, especially just for education. And then when you go off to college, again, unless you want to be a doctor or something, I just don't see a need for it. I think we need more tradesmen and stuff like that. But I don't want to hold you guys for too long. Thank you guys for watching. I just want to keep this momentum going. I hope that this is decent with some of y'all. The fact that I like to kind of go off of anyway, if you see this name, Dr. AMOS Wilson, I don't want you to have to sit here and wait for me to go through the whole thing. If you don't want to go off, listen to some of his stuff. I mean, while you cleaning up, instead of listening to music or that particular type of, replace something like this with higher learning instead of that garbage that we listen to over and over and over again, and on the radio over and over and over again. They just play it, just pounding it into your subconscious, and it's just ugh. And then we want to blame ourselves. See, they put so many things on us, and we end up blaming ourselves. And it's a war against the female and the male and the family and the whites and the blacks and the rich and the poor and the this and the that. And there's only one direction we need to be looking, and it's something like that's a symbol of it behind those arms on that damn book right there that we looking at. So, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.